Arthur?
Hiding any whiskey under that skirt for me?
That might be the creepiest thing you've ever said to me.
Two things that are really interesting about the video. Good on her for calling him out on it and just saying it in this really dry tone. When someone says something that is inappropriate or off color, like sometimes people just say what they think. They're not really thinking before they say, they're just saying before they think. This was a time where people just said what was on their mind, and it was often kind of unrefined. A lot of people didn't go to school, and those that did had a very short education because you had to work. The world was a much rougher place. And during this time, there were very strict gender roles, there were very different racial issues, and so because of that, I wouldn't say that this was a time when we were the most open-minded. It kind of shows that though he has a lot of charisma in a lot of the scenes, he also doesn't always say the most appropriate of statements. He's really good at like shooting, fighting, protecting people, but sometimes he's a little rough around the edges. Probably making sexual innuendos, unless you are sure about who you are making them with and how they feel about that, is something that you should probably avoid. Because if not, yeah, it does come off as just creepy and, in this case, awkwardly creepy.
Yeah, sorry, that came out wrong.
Sure, Arthur.
But the way that he handled it and the way that he handled making a mistake, sometimes we might say something that wasn't meant in a certain way, or upon reflection we wish we hadn't said. I think that there is a lot of avoidance for people just owning and apologizing. There is nothing wrong with saying sorry. And sorry is not an admission of guilt. Sorry is, I didn't mean to make this hurt you, or it wasn't thought out. And he owns it immediately. I think that that defensiveness that we sometimes do to double down on something that was already inappropriate, or even go further into it or insult the other person for being offended, is a very crass way to handle when we might have hurt someone else's feelings. If you didn't mean to, you can just apologize. And I think that we need to really be cognizant that the way that we see the world may not be the way that someone else sees the world, and also the intentions are more important than the words that are stated. He isn't someone that is known for the most calm, always under pressure. He can be reactive if he's really offended, but in this, you could tell that it humbled him and he thought about it. I think he might have been a little inebriated, which doesn't help because that kind of shuts down the part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, that deals with consequences to actions, so probably wasn't the best of times either. So if you say something and it comes out wrong, just admit it, apologize, and move on. People usually really appreciate that. I think that we're worried about having the pitchforks, and if we admit to wrong, then it's going to be used against us and people are going to talk about it. But by and large, people are really appreciative of a genuine apology, and to do so as quickly as possible. Online is a completely different area though, because online people are anonymous, and anonymity, that means that people think that they can just get away with things, and when you're angry or upset, you're often going to say things that just come out wrong. I've had so many people that have said something rude or mean about me, and when I actually reply back or send them an email about it because they didn't know that I had their email, then they were actually really apologetic and said, you know, I'm sorry, I had a really hard day. I apologize for letting it out. I didn't even think of you actually as a real human, just someone that I see online. We also sometimes do that when we see someone all the time. We don't really see them as human anymore.
Arthur, come here, come over here. I want you to meet our friends.
Pleased to meet you.
Well, ain't you just the toughest teak mountain man?
Oh, you be quiet, Anastasia. Anyone can tell this one is a pussy cat.
Like, they're not being that demure on their own. Like, they're already kind of setting up the stage. A lot of the way that people interact are they're playing off of someone else. And so if you are opening the door to being a little bit rough or crass and someone responds in the same manner, if you're going to dish it, you also have to be able to take it. And so I think that in this case, they set the stage that they are accepting of some crass behavior because they are doing the crass behavior. And I think that it's really unfair for people to say, well, I can say this, but you can't repeat something equally as rude back to me. In social discourse, we're constantly making rules for engagement. The manner in which you share something with someone will be your rules of engagement with the way that they're going to respond back to that. But I think that for a lot of people, they want to be able to say something, and because of who they are or their social status, they expect other people to treat them differently. And I don't think that that's a fair rule to expect people to live by.
Yes, he's a pussy cat.
Whatever you say. How much you cost, anyway?
Well, ain't that a nice way to talk to a lady?
Oh, I didn't know I was talking to a lady.
Excuse me.
You got a fine way with the women, amigo.
Yeah, regular dandy and a charm.
I don't believe that Arthur was actually treating them poorly because they were sex workers. I think that in this day and age, though, certain jobs, especially jobs of sex work, which are still often looked down upon today. But I think that it was more that they set the stage that this is a manner of speech that they are accepting of. And so in this case, I don't think that Arthur was being as creepy as he was just dishing out the same things and speaking in a very plain way, such as they were. They were kind of treating him as a piece of meat as well.
Well, ain't you just a tough-as-teak mountain man?
I do think that people believe that just because someone does something that is in sex work or is sexual in nature, that they can treat someone more poorly because of that. And you really want to be careful when you're with people that treat people that they see as beneath them as less than. We're all people, we're doing the things that we have to in order to survive. And I think that our manner of judging people dependent upon what they do and their value of that is definitely a type of elitist behavior that I think that we should try to rise above. And if you're thinking that Arthur Morgan only treats women like meat or says crass things, no, he doesn't. But I think that it's a really good teaching moment because he's also really protective. And I don't actually see him as exceptionally judgmental about what people do or who people are. And I think that this scene really shows that.
I'm getting what I paid for. Hey!
Hey, you!
A friend of hers.
Get out of here, buddy. I paid.
Ain't paid to hit her. What the hell are you doing here?
Trying to play him. Not very well.
You okay?
Fine.
You sure?
Yeah. Nothing to worry about. Just
He asks her what she's doing, not in a way that's judgmental, but because it put her in danger and because he was worried. Then after, when he realizes that she's okay, there aren't any judgmental, you shouldn't have done this was bad. He's understanding of that and just lets it go. The only thing that matters to him is that she's all right.
sure, I know small town banks are usually a waste of time, but this is a livestock town. There's lots of cash sometimes.
Okay. Keep investigating.
I will. Thank you, Arthur. I don't much like being saved, but when I have to be.
I understand.
So he's not always awkward or creepy around women. I really don't see him as doing that because of their status. It's the people that he cares about, and he's going to protect. I think that we can learn a certain amount of lessons to that, being that if you know someone really well, you can probably say all kinds of jokes that you couldn't say with just someone cold. Pay attention and usually allow someone else to be able to set the pace of a conversation. But even if so, if you are unsure, it is better for you to just avoid it. If you think in your head, maybe I shouldn't say it, you probably shouldn't say it. But if something comes out and you think that it came off wrong, you can specifically just ask or apologize. I think that we're often so worried about that we might have hurt someone's feelings that we don't straight out ask and clear the air. Because sometimes we're thinking that someone else feels awkward or is upset about something, and they may be just upset about something completely different that you're not even thinking about. If you like this video, you can also check out my Wednesday Season 1 compilation, ad-free, sponsor-free, only on Nebula, just like all of my videos on Nebula. And that's the whole purpose of Nebula. It's a place where high-quality education creators can post early, post extended versions, and post videos that would never really work on YouTube. And we have creators like Legal Eagle, Nando V Movies, Alt Shift X, Medlife Crisis, and many more. I've been posting my compilation videos like Arcane, The Jinx Saga, Vox Machina Season 1 early on Nebula, and I have a whole course on how to beat anxiety, also available on Nebula classes. You also get exclusive originals like how they adapted Lord of the Rings, The Time When, and so many more, and you can find these on Nebula sponsor-free, ad-free. If you sign up using the link below, you can also get Nebula for just over $3 a month. That's only $40 a year. And clicking on that link really does help out this channel. And that's all early access, extended versions, all kinds of originals from amazing Nebula creators, just by clicking on the link below. Thank you for your support, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. So this is Don't Be Creepy with Arthur Morgan. Hopefully you liked the video, and if so, maybe I'll see you in the next video.